I so want to react to that. The Harry Potter
In 2011,
film,
Jesse Eisenberg was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. He was 27. The role was Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network, and on paper, it should have been the start of a huge career. He played the role so convincingly that at times, it felt like you were watching Zuckerberg himself. The performance was cold and uncomfortable, and the movie blew up. It gave him real recognition and put him firmly on Hollywood's radar. For a moment, it looked like he might follow the same trajectory as the actors coming up around him. Eisenberg landed Now You See Me. Then he got Lex Luthor. On paper, those are big opportunities. They didn't launch him the way they were supposed to.
Amazing, and Now You See Me was amazing.
And while his peers kept climbing, his career quietly leveled out. Today, Jesse Eisenberg isn't a household name.
He's not
the
household name, but
offers don't come in the way they used to. And when he does appear in larger projects, it's usually a sequel to something he did years ago. Most of his focus now is on indie films, writing plays, and small directing projects. So what happened? How does someone go from an Oscar nomination at 27 to slowly fading from the mainstream? Well, the answer is simple, just not especially fair.
Are you a student looking for something to do with their summer? Then Camp Leaders is the perfect experience for you. Why not spend...
Not me.
Jesse Eisenberg was always an anxious kid. He grew up in a stable, middle-class home in New Jersey. His parents were supportive, reliable people with steady jobs. His dad worked in healthcare and taught sociology, and his mom performed as a clown and later taught acting and movement to kids. Creativity wasn't unusual in the family. Both of Jesse's sisters acted when they were young. In a lot of ways, it was the kind of household built to raise confident, expressive children. But Jesse was different. While everyone around him seemed comfortable in the world, he wasn't. He struggled with basic things, leaving the house, going to school, being around other kids. His anxiety didn't match his environment. It didn't come from trauma or instability. It was just there, baked in from the start. It was so bad that something as simple as the bus ride to school became a daily ordeal.
You were so anxious as a child getting on the bus to go to school. You would cry.
That's right.
And they had to kind of come up. Well, you tell me.
Yeah. So no, I would cry. Well, I cried every day when I got to school. But there was like they didn't want me to cry on the bus. The bus driver did not want me to cry. So she set up this system where if I didn't cry every day until Friday, on Friday she would give out Tootsie Roll Pops to all the kids on the bus if I made it through the week without crying on the bus. And so you would hear on Fridays from down the street, windows open on the bus, "Don't cry, Jesse! Don't cry, Jesse!"
Oh no!
Things only got worse for him at school. He found social situations overwhelming and confusing, and he never felt comfortable around kids his own age. So when he discovered acting, it wasn't about performing, it was about relief.
Performing for me was kind of like an outlet, but not like an outlet like I feel myself here. It was more just an outlet to literally just get out of school. Like if I got into a show, it meant I could leave early from school on various days and rehearse and be with adults, which was the only place at the time I felt like comfortable.
But acting didn't just help him cope. It slowly became the one place where he felt in control. He kept performing throughout his teens, and the more he did it, the more it stopped being an escape and started becoming a talent. Acting gave him structure. Scripts made sense. Characters made sense. Real life didn't.
When I was acting in a play, I liked knowing my place, that I was this role and other people were that role, and we could interact with each other in a way that I felt was, very clear to me. Even if I was not in a position that I liked being in, I at least knew that that was my position, and I learned to become comfortable with it.
By the time he reached adulthood, that anxious kid from New Jersey had turned himself into a genuinely solid performer, someone who understood how to channel all that nervous energy into something believable on screen, and that's where his career really began. Like many actors, he started out auditioning for and landing small TV roles. In 1999, he appeared in Get Real, playing Kenny Green, Anne Hathaway's younger brother, which gave him his first regular acting job. After the show ended, he took a small part in the TV movie Lightning, Fire from the Sky. These weren't breakout roles, but they were the first steps. His film career began in 2002 with Roger Dodger, opposite Campbell Scott. He was 19, playing a socially inexperienced teenager pulled into situations he didn't understand. For a first film role, he handled it well. The performance matched the tone of the movie, and it showed he could hold his own alongside more established actors. Then in 2005 came The Squid and the Whale. Noah Baumbach cast him as a teenager dealing with his parents' divorce, and the role got him strong reviews and Independent Spirit Award nominations. It was the first time he showed up on people's radar as a young actor with real potential, and it marked his first genuinely significant film performance. Over the next few years, he appeared in a mix of indie dramas and smaller studio projects, including a few early lead roles that helped him build experience but didn't break through to mainstream attention. Most of these early roles cast him as the smart, slightly awkward guy, but the characters were written to be relatable and likable. By 2009, Jesse was landing higher profile parts. Adventureland put him opposite Kristen Stewart, playing a recent college graduate stuck working at an amusement park.
Adventureland, I remember that, I watched that.
There were circumstances.
Oh my god.
The film was directed by Greg Mottola, who had just come off Superbad, which gave it more visibility than a typical coming-of-age drama, and it was an important role for Eisenberg. He carried the story, and his performance worked exactly for what the film needed. He brought a mix of nervous energy and sincerity to the role, which made the character feel real and easy to root for. It showed he could convincingly lead a romantic, coming-of-age film. His dynamic with Stewart worked on screen, but also off-screen. The interviews they did together were fun and light-hearted, and Stewart often cracked up at his dry, awkward jokes.
You feel like you've been...
EasyJet's Big Orange Sale is now on. Get up to £500 off package holidays and up to 20% off flights. Book now at Easy.
Been typed at all? Do you feel like you're pushing for other stuff? Or
they look cute,
smart guys, but they're always
doing a movie in May of another version, and he's 25. So as I get older and the character's still virgins, the excuses have to be more convoluted for why that's happening.
It's surreal. And what was it that compelled you about this particular script? How did the script come to you guys?
They said it was a story about a virgin.
That same year, Jesse appeared in Zombieland, a studio comedy
Zombieland
with Woody
was
Harrelson
good.
and Emma Stone. He played Columbus, a cautious, rule-obsessed survivor trying to navigate a zombie apocalypse. It was his first major studio hit. The film made over $100 million worldwide and quickly became a cult favorite. The role was still in his usual lane of anxious, analytical characters, but it was framed as comedic and relatable, and it showed he could anchor a larger commercial movie. So when David Fincher came calling in 2010, Jesse had momentum. He'd shown he could handle emotional indie dramas, play offbeat romantic leads, and thrive in big studio comedies. He wasn't locked into one thing. His anxiety and awkwardness weren't getting in the way. They were working for him. They made him relatable, someone audiences were happy to spend time with. Then David Fincher offered him the role of Mark Zuckerberg. At the time, it looked like the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to work with one of the best directors in the business, playing one of the most recognizable people on earth. What no one realized was that the role wouldn't just change his career, it would redefine how people saw him. It took the same awkwardness, the same nervous energy, and gave it a completely different meaning. Jesse walked into The Social Network as an actor with momentum and a future that could have gone in any direction. He walked out as Mark Zuckerberg, and from that point on, he would never be seen the same way again. The Social Network wasn't a typical biopic or tech drama. It was a complex, tightly structured story about ego, betrayal, and the creation of a platform that would change the world. The film came together quickly. Aaron Sorkin wrote the script, while Ben Mesrick was still developing his book about Facebook's early days, The Accidental Billionaires, and David Fincher signed on soon after. With Sorkin's dialogue and Fincher's style, the movie was designed to be sharp and character-driven rather than a traditional tech story. Fincher needed someone who could handle Sorkin's rapid dialogue, but also carry the quiet weight of someone always thinking 2 steps ahead. Early on, actors like Michael Cera, Shia LaBeouf, and Andrew Garfield were reportedly in the running. But after seeing Eisenberg's audition tape, Fincher knew he had his guy. Jesse's performance was surgical. His Zuckerberg was cold, calculating, and detached from normal human interaction. He spoke in rapid bursts, avoided eye contact, and carried himself like someone who cared far more about being right than being understood. But the emotional isolation wasn't confined to the script. Jesse himself felt the distance. In a behind-the-scenes interview, he admitted to feeling like an outsider during large portions of the shoot.
When we were in Boston, it was like we'd wake up and we would be the only people we would know. And then when we came back to LA, I was miserable. Andrew has a girlfriend here, and so he wouldn't spend every minute with me. and some of the other guys know other people here and have friends and agents here, and they didn't want to spend that much time with me.
The movie came out in October 2010 and immediately became a cultural moment. Critics called it the defining film of the digital age, and Jesse's performance was at the center of it. In January 2011, he was nominated for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. At just 27 years old, he was competing against Colin Firth, James Franco, Javier Bardem, and Jeff Bridges. He didn't win. Colin Firth took it for The King's Speech, but the nomination alone pushed him into a different tier. Just days after the nomination, Jesse hosted Saturday Night Live, and in a move that shocked everyone, Mark Zuckerberg himself showed up during the opening monologue. It was the first time Zuckerberg and Eisenberg had ever met.
Have you two not met?
No.
Awkward!
Watching them stand side by side, you could see the problem starting to form. Both were stiff, both awkward, both uncomfortable with the spotlight. The sketch was played for laughs, but it planted something in people's minds. The line between Jesse Eisenberg and Mark Zuckerberg was starting to blur. From there, bigger offers started coming in. Ensemble casts, major franchises. On paper, the kinds of opportunities that move an actor firmly into mainstream stardom, but they all pointed in the same direction. Hollywood had decided what version of Jesse Eisenberg they wanted, and it wasn't the warm, relatable version audiences had seen before.
I smashed mine.
They should have kept it going with the one relatable, to be honest.
In 2013, Jesse landed Now You See Me, a
Oh
big
boy, I
studio
do
heist
love
thriller
Now You
with
See
an
Me.
ensemble
That's the
cast
thing.
that included Mark Ruffalo, Woody Harrelson, and Morgan Freeman. It looked like the kind of commercial project that could push him into a higher tier of mainstream visibility. He played J. Daniel Atlas, the sharp-tongued, controlling leader of a group of magicians running elaborate heists, and the character felt familiar, cocky, fast-talking, always correcting people, always proving he was the smartest one in the room. It was Zuckerberg, just dressed differently. The movie was a huge hit, making over $350 million worldwide, and on the surface, it seemed like validation, proof that Jesse belonged in major
still haven't watched
studio
the last
films.
one.
But the success taught Hollywood the wrong lesson. Executives looked at the numbers and assumed the arrogant, fast-talking version of Jesse Eisenberg was what sold, because that version had appeared in his two biggest films, and the public began to see him that way too, not just because of the roles, but because of the interviews. After The Social Network, his press appearances started getting a lot more attention, and one interview he did for Now You See Me went viral for all the wrong reasons. It was with Romina Puga, a young entertainment reporter for Univision at the time. The interview opened with something she often did in her segments, asking Jessie to look into the camera and say her name as part of the intro.
Can I just have you say my name into the camera? Romina?
Just the word Romina?
Well, my name, not a word.
And what's going to happen to it?
We'll skip it.
I'll do the thing.
We'll skip it.
But I just wanted to know, like what to give it.
Like if we just broke up.
I probably wouldn't say anything then.
You're trying to find me in a crowded place.
Oh, okay. Romina.
That's it? I would never hear you.
The thing is, I actually didn't want to find you. I was actually hoping to stay alone.
Such a jerk.
At first, it came across as light back and forth, but as the interview continued, the tone shifted, and things started to feel a bit awkward.
So Freeman plays a magic debunker.
Freeman? Who are you? Yeah. Freeman? Yeah. What, are you on a baseball team with him?
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine.
Okay.
Morgie. Morgie plays a magic debunker.
Right.
You know, he reveals these magician secrets.
Yeah.
So I want to play a little game
Okay.
where you debunk some secrets.
Okay. Yeah, that one, I think what you're doing is you're putting your thumb under your pointer finger, you're bending this one.
Can you do it?
Yeah, I think it's something like this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the problem with the trick is that the thumbs don't look like an end of a finger.
You just have a fat thumb though.
No, my thumb's fine, thank you, but what did you write on your hand?
Whoa, that was quick.
So there was a lot of things.
That was snappy, boy.
No.
Are you secretly hiding questions for the interview? You're wondering what it's like to work with Morgan Freeman and you can't remember that?
You know.
Don't call Morgan Freeman like you're on a Little League softball team.
At this point, you could sense some tension, but nothing too unusual yet. It wasn't until later in the conversation that the dynamic took a sharper turn and became genuinely uncomfortable.
An even more sharper
That
turn.
You have like a snap card trick that you learned or something?
Sure, yeah. You brought a card.
A lot of cards.
Do you know the comedian Carrot Top?
Yes, horrible.
Well, you were like the Carrot Top of interviewers.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing. It's
I'm
a
gonna
good
go
thing.
cry now.
No, don't cry now. Cry after the interview's over. Because otherwise I'll look like I'm responsible for it. Okay, so
Well, you are.
Well, I don't want to know that though.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
so-
you know now.
I said your name into camera. What else do you want from me?
Magic trick.
Okay. All right,
So you can wrap this up.
Hey, you're on my time. Okay. Okay, choose the card from here. Okay.
Wow.
Obviously.
Wow.
You can show the camera. Yeah. Romina. Now put it back anywhere in the deck. Okay. Now, do you remember your card? Are you thinking of it?
Sure.
It's not important. Okay. Could you point out where you think the card is?
The salt.
You're right. It is in the deck. Okay. So wait. Oh, you think it's on top?
Yeah.
You think it's the top card?
Yes.
So I'm gonna take the top card off, and this should be your card then?
Yes.
Really?
No.
It's not. Is it your card? I mean, it doesn't matter.
No, it's not.
I don't need to be amazed. I already know how it's done.
It's not.
Okay. Was that your card?
Ooh.
See? Are you happy you
Yeah.
lied to
Yes.
point of almost not appreciating that?
Mad. I can't lie. It's so salty. What happened? You pissed in his cereal. Or is it you shit in cereal? I don't
After
know.
its release, the interview quickly went viral, racking up millions of views, and people were all saying the same thing. He acts exactly like in Social Network, LMAO. Lol, Jesse is still playing Zuckerberg. Romina called Jesse's thumb fat, and Jesse left the chat, and Mark Zuckerberg entered. Soon after the interview was released, Romina wrote a blog post where she spoke about her experience, saying that she felt humiliated by Jesse. She wrote, "When the 5-minute interview, more like self-esteem butchering, was finally over, I went behind a curtain to wait for the memory cards from the interview. I peeked around the curtain to ask Jesse about his neighborhood in New York. He lives a few blocks from where I used to live, and he immediately said, 'You're still here?' Romina was clearly upset by the exchange, but Jesse viewed it very differently. He said it was the most funny and interesting interview he'd had all day, so he was shocked when news networks began reaching out asking for a statement. His response was, 'Listen, I would never want to upset somebody, and if I did upset her, obviously I would have acknowledged that.' He said he tried to reach out to apologize, but wasn't able to get in contact with her. The damage was done. Then, at San Diego Comic-Con, came another moment that made headlines.
A24.
Jesse was there promoting the end of the tour, an indie drama where he played David Lipsky, a journalist interviewing the late writer David Foster Wallace. He felt uncomfortable with the sheer number of people at the event, and made a joke about it that didn't go down well.
My time at Comic-Con was, I guess it's like being screamed at by thousands of people. I don't know what the experience is throughout history. Probably some kind of, genocide. I can't think of anything that's equivalent.
He's just rambling, bro.
The clip spread quickly
He's just
online,
rambling.
and his
I wouldn't
comments
take that with a
immediately
pinch
made
of salt, man.
headlines. Jesse spent the next 2
He
days
don't mean
clarifying
that.
he was using
He didn't know
hyperbole
what to
and
say,
didn't
man.
actually mean to compare enthusiastic fans to mass murder. But again, his attempt at intellectual humor had backfired. Instances like this, combined with the
attempted
constant
to make
drip
it
of
like,
smaller,
right.
awkward moments in his
He
public
failed.
appearances,
I
painted him
will
as
knock him for
cold and
that one.
detached, just like his character from The Social Network, and Hollywood was paying attention. By 2014, Warner Brothers was deep into development on Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Director Zack Snyder had a vision for Lex Luthor that broke from tradition. He wanted to reimagine Superman's greatest enemy as a modern tech billionaire, a Silicon Valley genius, manic, hyperverbal, intellectually superior, socially awkward, but dangerous. And Jesse was the perfect fit.
They said, would you like to play the villain? I was like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. I'd love to read it. And when I read it, I thought I could do it. Because initially I thought I can't play Lex Luthor. I pictured it as older and bald and just not me.
Yeah.
And then when I read it, I realized, oh no, it was up my alley. I knew that I could do a good job with it. It had everything in it that I really like in a character. It was kind of a guy who seems eccentric and possibly nice to the public.
Shit, if I had the opportunity to play in Batman, you ain't got to ask me twice.
Inside is really heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'll be the extra. I don't
do
even
this character
mind.
really well.
Jesse accepted the role, and Warner Brothers made the announcement public. The reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly negative. Comic book fans flooded forums and social media with the same concerns Jesse himself had initially felt. He didn't fit the part. He was too young, too neurotic. Lex Luthor was supposed to be imposing and calculated, both a physical and intellectual threat. The skepticism was loud. Fans flooded forums and social media
But he
with
did it well,
complaints, made YouTube videos, and wrote think pieces about why this was a mistake. And the core complaint was always the same. They'd seen this performance before, and they didn't want to see it again. For Jesse, it must have been a strange echo. The doubts he'd worked through privately by reading the script were now being shouted at him publicly by an entire fan base. But the film was already in motion. The role was his.
I don't know!
I would not let them tell me. Now, if you kill me, Martha dies. And if you fly away, Martha also dies.
When Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice hit theaters on March 25th, 2016, it arrived with massive expectations. This was Warner Brothers' answer to Marvel, a showdown between two of the most iconic superheroes ever created. Jesse's performance would be seen by tens of millions of people. It was the biggest, most public stage he'd ever been on, and critics tore him apart. Grating, annoying, downright terrible. The Hollywood Reporter said Eisenberg portrayed Lex as a privileged tech guru who makes the actor's take on Mark Zuckerberg look like the epitome of style and manners. But the real damage came from the audience. Online, threads and reaction videos tore into him, calling him miscast, mocking the performance, and insisting he'd butchered the character.
That arch-enemy mastermind Lex Luthor that's on paper in here just kind of gets lost behind Jesse Eisenberg's spastic betrayal of Lex Luthor?
The fans who protested his casting 2 years earlier now felt vindicated. They'd seen this coming. Batman vs. Superman made $874 million worldwide, but was considered...
It is probably the worst Batman though, let's be honest, let's be real. Definitely is. It's definitely not like
The movie had plenty
Dark Knight
of problems,
Rises, Dark
a messy
Knight,
plot, a divisive tone, a CGI villain nobody liked. But Jesse became the easiest target. And the truth is, it wasn't entirely fair. He delivered exactly what Zack Snyder asked for. But fair or not, the damage was done. After Batman vs. Superman, something shifted. The momentum he'd built going from The Social Network to Now You See Me to Batman vs. Superman seemed to evaporate. There were no new franchise offers and no large-scale blockbusters looking to build around him. Doors that should have been wide open had quietly closed, and in Jesse's mind, the reason was obvious.
I was in this Batman movie, and the Batman movie was so poorly received, and I was so poorly received. I've never said this before, and it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I genuinely think it actually hurt my career in a real way.
Really?
Because I was poorly received in something so public. I've been in poorly received things that just don't see the light of day. For the most part, no one knows. But this was so public, and I don't read notices or reviews or movie press or anything, so I was unaware of how poorly it was received. But in the industry, if you're in a huge movie and not seen as good, the people who are choosing who to put next in their movie are just not going to select
Pick you.
Yeah, you're just like associated with something.
Yeah, but you were really depressed after that.
It was depressing. In some ways, just like, oh yeah, of course, I had this great opportunity. Of course, it didn't go well.
Jesse blamed himself for what happened and really went into his shell. The box Hollywood had built around him after The Social Network was now reinforced with steel, and people no longer saw the Jesse from Adventureland or Zombieland. They saw a one-trick pony. Even when doing interviews about it years later, you could tell he was still hurt about it.
So what do you think of people who obsess about your work? I mean, there are people who are obsessed with your work.
Oh, so, well, okay, so I was in like a Batman movie playing, you know, a villain in that, and so of course, you know, it's just the nature of those movies that people comment on it. And what I would say when people criticize me, and they did, is just that I can assure them that I worry about me being good in it far more than they ever will. So if I ruin the movie for them and they are upset about that, or whatever it is that the reaction to it is, I can assure them that it's far more, I worry about it far more than they did.
It's very interesting. You went right for that when I was really referring to people who obsess about your work because they think it's great.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe that says more about me then.
After Batman v Superman, Jesse didn't disappear. Now You See Me 2 came out just months later. He appeared in Woody Allen's Cafe Society, did indie thrillers, and in 2019 returned for Zombieland, Double Tap, a sequel that made over $120 million worldwide.
Double Tap
in
was
2021, he briefly reprised Lex Luthor for Zack Snyder's Justice League, a streaming release. But something had fundamentally changed. The big new opportunities, the billion-dollar franchises, the prestige studio dramas had dried up. He was welcome to return to things he'd already done, but doors to new territory had closed. Instead, Jesse made a pivot. He turned to writing and directing. When You Finish Saving the World in 2022, a comedy drama starring Julianne Moore and Finn Wolfhard about a mother and son struggling to connect. And then A Real Pain in 2024, a film he wrote, directed, and starred in. The movie followed two mismatched cousins on a Holocaust tour through Poland, exploring grief, family, and Jewish identity. It was deeply personal. Jesse himself is a third-generation American Jew with Polish roots. The film earned critical acclaim and became one of the most celebrated indies of the year. In early 2025, A Real Pain earned 2 Oscar nominations, Best Original Screenplay for Jesse and Best Supporting Actor for his co-star, Kieran Culkin. The contrast was stark. Jesse Eisenberg, the actor, had been sidelined, but Jesse Eisenberg, the writer and director, had helped guide Kieran Culkin to an Oscar-nominated performance. One career had diminished, but another had been born. And in February 2025, while promoting A Real Pain, Jesse gave an interview to the BBC, where, for the first time in years, he spoke openly about The Social Network and about Mark Zuckerberg.
I haven't been following his life trajectory, partly because I don't want to think of myself as associated with somebody like that. It's not like I played a great golfer or something and I want to and now people think I'm a great golfer. It's like this guy that's doing kind of doing things that are problematic, taking away, fact checking and safety concerns, making people who are already threatened in this world more threatened.
You're concerned by those actions?
I'm concerned just as a person who reads a newspaper. I don't think about, I played the guy in the movie and therefore it's just I'm a human being and you read these things and these people have billions upon billions of dollars, more money than any human person has ever amassed, and what are they doing with it, and they're doing it to curry favor with somebody who's preaching hateful things. So to me that's what I think of, but I think of that not as a person who played in a movie. I think of it as just somebody who's married to a woman who teaches disability justice in New York, and lives for her students are going to get a little harder this year.
The message was clear. 15 years after The Social Network, Jesse wants nothing to do with the role or the man who made him famous. Playing Zuckerberg launched him into the mainstream, but it was a double-edged sword from the very beginning. The only roles that pushed him further up the ladder were variations on that same character. In November 2025, Now You See Me 3 came out. Jesse reprised his role and the movie was a success. But it's clear his creative momentum is pointing elsewhere now, away from telling other people's stories, and toward writing and directing his own, on his terms.
Oh, plastic surgery is crazy. In general, anyway.